I'm Boris the Bee Guy, Forest Beehive Apiary, Central Maine. This footage is from May 31st, when I expanded the brood nest and honey stores of one of my strongest colonies to help reduce the risk of swarming. This entrance belongs to a strong winter survivor colony. Foragers are returning with nectar and multicolored pollen from diverse sources: dandelions, flowering crabapples, black cherries, wild strawberries, and other spring blooms. Diverse forage means better nutrition for the bees. One plant that has surprised me is this old flowering burning bush. It was already growing here when I bought this place during pandemic, and at first I thought I'd cut it down. I'm glad I didn't. Right now it's covered with thousands of tiny white flowers, and every time I walk by it's buzzing with honeybees, bumblebees, and many other pollinators. The flowers produce mildly sweet, aromatic nectar, and the bees are clearly taking advantage of it. Burning bush isn't native to Maine, but this particular bush has been growing here for many years without spreading. Today, it's providing forage for many pollinators, and every year a robin builds a nest inside it. When I take a look inside the hive, although just in case I do have a lit smoker nearby, I'm not using it these days. To calm the bees, I prefer to use a vaporizer of essential oils derived from flowers that bees naturally forage on. The floral aroma helps mask the alarm pheromone, and the bees become noticeably calmer. It's good to avoid using a smoker, not only for the sake of the bees and for better tasting honey, but also for the beekeeper. No need to fill the beekeeper's lungs with any carcinogens. During peak swarm season, every couple of weeks, I take a brief look at my beehives to see if I need to expand the brood nest and honey stores to reduce swarming pressure. In this hive, the bees are already active on the last 2 honey frames, so that's a good sign for me to proceed with gradual expansion. I practice minimally invasive beekeeping and aim to interfere as little as possible with my bee colonies. The whole procedure takes about 1 minute, as there's no invasive frame-by-frame inspection, no hunting for a queen, or removal of potential swarm cells. If for any reason I'm late with expansion and the bees have already committed to swarming, my second line of defense is catching my swarms. The swarm trap boxes are at the ready, and they are armed with swarm commando lure. This 20-frame Layens Hive has already been expanded to 15 frames, but I'm adding 2 more. 1 frame with fully drawn comb in the midst of the brood area, and another partial frame of drawn comb in the honey area. In Layens horizontal hives, the tops of properly closed frames touch and have no gaps between them, so the bees are not exposed to light or drafts between the frames, which is how they prefer it. To insert an additional drawn comb frame into the middle of the brood nest, I don't open all the frames one by one to create a gap. Instead, I slide the entire group of frames together without breaking their propolis seals. To make sure I ended up within the brood nest, I examine 1 frame here. I usually don't fully take it out, but for the video I'll demonstrate it. This frame has a nice capped and emerging brood on one side, and a fully capped circular brood on the other side. So I'll put this frame back and insert an empty drawn comb frame next to it for brood space expansion. I then carefully slide the whole group of frames back into place without harming a single bee. Here I'm adding a partially drawn comb frame on the honey side and then closing the space with a follow board. This 20-frame hive now has 17 out of 20 frames in. So what happens if I have to expand again and then start bumping against the physical limits of the hive? It's not a bad problem to have. Instead of further expansion, I can then harvest 1 or 2 honey frames and donate 1-2 capped brood frames with nurse bees to weaker colonies. Now, what is that gadget that I'm putting on top of the brood frames before closing the lid? In next week's video, I'll show how one of these long-range wireless temperature monitors with a battery life of up to 5 years helped me save a bee colony. After that experience, I'm installing them in all of my hives the same way. Happy beekeeping season, everyone! Thanks for watching, hit like and subscribe.